बोलिए वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय। श्रीमद् सद्गुरु सरकार की जय। ध्यान मूलम गुरोर्मूर्ति पूजा मूलम गुरोर्पदम मंत्रमूलम गुरोर्वाक्यम भक्तिमूलम गुरोर्कृपा। वर्हापीडं नटवरवपुः कर्णयोः कर्णिकारम् बिभ्रद्वासः कनककपिशम् वैजयन्तीं च मालाम् रन्ध्रान् वेणोरधरसुधया पूरयन् गोपवृन्दैर्वृन्दारण्यं स्वपदरमणम् प्राविशद्गीत कीर्ति। नमः कमलनाभाय नमः कमलमालिने नमः कमलपादाय नमस्ते कमलेक्षण यो ब्रह्माणं विदधाति पूर्वं यो वै वेदांश्च प्रहिणोति तस्मै तग्वं हा देवमात्म बुद्धिप्रकाशं मुमुक्षुर्वै शरणमहं प्रपद्ये। Inquisitive listeners, now I request your full attention as I continue with the topic of wellness for life. Yesterday, we found out from scriptures that we are suffering from 3 types of sorrows in life: Adhyatmik, Adhidaivik and Adhibhautik. Adhyatmik dukh are physical and mental sorrows. Adhi bhautik dukh are the sorrows inflicted upon us by other humans and creatures. And Adhi daivik dukh are the sorrows that we receive from forces of nature. This means that there are internal as well as external causes of our sorrows. But we discovered that the greatest sorrows are the mental sorrows inflicted upon us by anger, greed, hatred, pride, envy, and other such illnesses of the mind. We also discovered that the most damaging sorrow that we receive is because of our desires. Desires bring about all the sorrows. We found out why we have desires in the first place. And we discovered through the Gita that desires come about in the mind because we are always searching for happiness in life. And when we suspect that a certain person or a certain object of the world will bring happiness to us, we immediately form an attachment there. And attachments lead to desires. If we have a desire in the mind, in other words, if we want something, then we'll either get it or we won't get it. If we get what we want, then we become greedy. Ramayana says, Jo pratilabh lobh adhikai. The more we have, the more we want. Fulfillment of desire leads to greed. And on the other hand, if we don't get what we want, if the desire is not fulfilled, then we become angry. So desire is very damaging to us. Either way, if it is fulfilled, it leads to greed. If it's not fulfilled, it leads to anger. This is why the scriptures tell us that desires should be renounced. What the scriptures tell us is that desires should be contained, they should be limited, they should be decreased, and that they should be diverted towards God, not towards the world. The reason is that God is the happiness that we seek. The happiness we seek is unlimited, everlasting, and ever increasing. And such happiness can be found only through God and never through the material world. So, desire is very dangerous. That is the message that we get from the scriptures. When Prahlad was offered a boon, a blessing, by Narsingh Bhagwan, Narsingh Bhagwan said to Prahlad, "Son, I'm very happy with your devotion. You ask me for whatever you want, and I shall give it to you." Prahlad said, "My Lord, I don't want anything from you." And Narsingh Bhagwan, who had come in a very unique form of half man and half lion, said, No, you must ask me for something." Narsingh Bhagwan was very pleased with the answer that the little child devotee Prahlad gave to him, but he was testing his devotee. So he said, No, you must ask me for something. Then Prahlad said, Ya prītiravivekanam vishayeshvanapayini tva manusmaratah sa me hridayanma pasarpatu. Vishnu Puran. Prahlad said, "My Lord, I want to love you in the same way as a very, very worldly man loves the world. That is my desire. I must run after you in the same way as a worldly man runs after temporary pleasures of the world. This is what I want. I want nothing else. My Lord, my desires for the world have prevented me from seeing you. Countless lifetimes have passed, and I had never desired you. I had always desired the material world. I want more money, I want a bigger house, I want a better car. I want this, I want that. I always ran after trinkets of the world. But no more. I will desire only you and you alone. So Prahlad said, may I love you in the same way as a worldly man loves the temporary pleasures of the world. Prahlad rejected worldly desires. Bhagwan Sri Ram offered a boon, a blessing to his very worthy devotee Kagbhushundi, and he said, Kagbhushundi mangu var ati prasanna mohi jaan animadik siddhi aparanidhi moksha sakal sukh khan. Kagbhushundi, I'm very, very happy with you. Ati prasanna. Prasanna means happy. Ati prasanna means very happy. I am extremely happy with you, so I want to give you something. What is it that you want? Not getting an answer from Kagbhushundi, Bhagwan Ram said, shall I give you siddhis? These are wonderful powers. There are many types of siddhis, and the topmost worldly siddhi is Sattvic siddhi, and these are 8 in number. Anima, Laghima, Garima, Mahima, Prakamya, Prapti, Ishitva and Vashitva. Kagbhushundi, if you have these siddhis, you can impress a lot of people. Using the siddhi called Vashitva, you can bring somebody under your control. Using the siddhi called Anima, you can become very, very anu, meaning small. And you can enter someone's mind and then tell that individual, I know exactly what you're thinking. You can walk on water. You can become very, very large, larger than a mountain. You can become very small, smaller than a mosquito. You can become very, very heavy so that many strong men will not be able to lift you. And you can become so light that someone can just blow you away. Shall I give you these siddhis? Kagbhushundi ji said nothing. So Bhagwan Ram said, all right. I'll give you the 9 nidhis if you want. They're even greater than the siddhis, 8 siddhis. Again, not getting a reaction from Kagbhushundi ji, Bhagwan Sri Ram said, you drive a hard bargain. So I will give you the ultimate gift. I shall give you liberation, moksha, sakala sukha khan, the ultimate happiness, moksha. Do you desire moksha, Kagbhushundi? Speak up. Kagbhushundi ji remained silent. Bhagwan Ram was internally very pleased, but again it is the nature of God to test his devotee. And the greater the devotee, the greater the test. Kagbhushundi ji said nothing. And so Bhagwan Sri Ram was very pleased, but said, "You tell me what you want. I have offered you many things, but you are not pleased with them, so you tell me what you want." Kagbhushundi ji said, "Aviral bhakti vishuddh tav, shruti puran jehi gav, jehi khojat yogish muni, prabhu prasad ko pav, dehu daya kari Ram." Oh my sweet Ram, give me that which is not attained by even the greatest yogis. They satisfy themselves with siddhis. They do not attain what I am asking for. I am asking you for selfless devotion. I want to love you without any selfish desire. That is my one and only desire. Hearing this, Bhagwan Ram said, "Sunuvayas te param sayana." You are very, very intelligent. Paramasayana. Kahe na mangati asvardhana. So it's not a surprise that you would ask for such a boon. Asvichari je paramasayane, mukti niradari bhakti lubhane. The highly intelligent ones, the very wise ones, reject even the desire for liberation and they choose divine love instead. So you are very intelligent. Kagbhushundi ji is in the form of a crow, a raven. And crows are very, very smart. They're very intelligent. The female crow lays its eggs in another bird's nest. That bird thinks those eggs to be its own. But when the eggs hatch and the birds prove themselves to be baby crows, then that bird thinks, "Oh, I have been had. That crow fooled me." And so Kagbhushundi ji is in the form of a crow. So Bhagwan Ram is saying, you are very intelligent. So it's not a surprise that you would ask for the ultimate gift of selfless love. You have rejected even the desire for liberation. Liberation visits the devotee. Ka tvam mukti rupa gatasi bhavati kasmada kasmadih Shri Krishna smaranena deva bhavato dasi padam bhavita dure tishta managanagasī katham kuryādanaryam mai tvad-gandhan nij-nama chandana rasa lepasya lopo bhavet. Liberation visits the devotee, in the female form. Liberation can take on a form. So liberation in the female form visits the devotee of Shri Krishna. And the devotee asks, "Katvam, who are you? Kaun ho tum?" Mukti says, "Maharaj, my lord, I am Mukti, I am liberation." "Mukti? What are you doing here?" "My lord, you are a devotee of Shri Krishna, so I came to serve you." "Serve me? Who sent you here?" "Lord Krishna sent me here." "What, you go far away from me, I don't want you." "Dure tisht, go far, far, far away from me. I don't want even your shadow to fall upon me." Maharaj, am I so bad? Yes, you're very dangerous. Today you have come to me wanting to serve me. Tomorrow I'll become attached to you and I will forget all about my Lord. I will not love him. I will love you. Liberation. I don't want to desire you. I want to desire my Lord. So I reject you. Go away from here. It's like we say, thank you, but no thank you. Thank you for offering your help, but I don't want it. So the devotee was quite abrupt with liberation and sent her away. You see, desire is desire. Whether it is desire for the world, desire for the heavenly regions, the celestial abodes, Swargalok, or desire for liberation, desire is dangerous. So even the topmost desire, the desire for liberation, must be renounced. You may be thinking, what? I must not desire even liberation? What kind of lesson is this? No, you see, liberation will be given to you anyway, but you must not desire it. The Ramayana says, Bhagati karat soi mukti gosai anaichhit avat bariyai. The one who loves God, the one who practices devotion to God, automatically attains liberation. He doesn't have to ask for it. He attains liberation from the material world, but he never asks for it. He should not ask for it, because he must not present any desires before God. Desires are dangerous. Most people in the world do not desire liberation. We are stuck at the very bottommost level of devotion. We are stuck in worldly desires. We go to the temple, or the church, or the mosque, or the Gurudwara, or any other place of worship, and we ask God for worldly favors. We think that devotion to God consists of asking God for worldly favors. We ask Him for trinkets. He has amazing treasures to give us, but we ask Him for trinkets. It's like going to the King of Kings and saying, may I have $1? How silly. We go to the King of Kings and we ask Him for small things. My knees are hurting. Can you please fix them for me? God must be thinking, are you serious? You're asking me to fix your knees? I've got these terrible migraines. Please heal me. My job is not good. I want a better job. Please, my Lord, I love you so much. Can you give me a job? A better job. I want more money. We ask for trinkets. And God has amazing treasures to give us. He has unlimited knowledge to give to us, infinite happiness to give to us. And yet we ask Him for things of the world. Desires are very, very dangerous. But how do we limit our desires? We think to ourselves, I do want to contain my desires, but I just don't know how to do it. How do I manage to limit my desires? Our desires are in the mind. So the mind has to be instructed. You will kindly pay attention to this. The mind has to be instructed. what we do is that we go with the flow of the mind. Whatever the mind tells us, we go with it. The mind says, lie down, we lie down. The mind says, go to sleep, and never mind that we may be in satsang, in the temple, listening to a katha, or doing kirtan, we promptly go to sleep. Because the mind is our boss. The mind says, go to the movies. But I have exam tomorrow. Never mind, go to the movies. All right, I'll obey you. The mind says, eat all these sweets. But I am a diabetic. Go ahead, eat it. All right, yes sir. We obey the dictates of a mischievous mind. Bhagwan Rishabh says, don't make friends with your mind. The mind is your enemy. Don't think it's a friend. It's not. It will fool you. It has fooled you countless times. It will continue to fool you. Your mind will tell you that the impermanent is permanent and the permanent is impermanent. It will convince you that the real is unreal and the unreal is real. It will tell you that there's loads of happiness in the world and that you can get it by buying that new outfit, or by living in a bigger house, or by buying new furniture, or by accumulating more and more of the world in general. The mind will convince you of all sorts of falsehoods. Don't listen to the mind. Instruct the mind. Tell the mind. If there was happiness in the world, then wouldn't everybody in the world be receiving happiness at all times through every person and through every object of the world? Ask the mind this question. We are not capable of asking such questions of the mind, but we must hold on to the teachings of a true saint, a genuine guru, one who has attained infinite wisdom through the grace of God, through surrendering to God. And the enlightened guru will tell us all this. He will tell us how to think. He will instruct us how to mold our mind. The Vedas say, Tad Vijnanartham Saguru Meva Bhigachet Samit Pani Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam. Mundakopanishad. Surrender to the Guru. Because the Guru is the one who will give you knowledge and destroy your ignorance. The very definition of the word Guru, which is a short little word, Guru, 2 syllables. The very definition of the word Guru is Girati Ajnanam iti Guru, the one who destroys ignorance is the Guru. And Grinati Jnanam iti Guru, the one who gives knowledge, the knowledge of God, is the Guru. Gushabdastandhakara syat rushabdastan nirodhakah andhakara nirodhitvat gururityabhidhiyate. This is a mantra from Dvayopanishad, which says that the word Guru means, it's made of 2 syllables, Gu plus Ru. Gu means ignorance, Ru means remover. Remover of ignorance, that's who the Guru is. The Guru has complete knowledge of all scriptures without exception. That is the definition of the Guru, the one who has infinite wisdom, unlimited knowledge, because God has given him that. Dhruv was a little boy, 5 years of age. And through meditation on God, he attained God, and when God stood in front of him, Dhruv could not even speak properly. He was talking baby talk. And Bhagwan touched Dhruv's shoulders with his conch and transmitted unlimited knowledge to that little boy of 5 years of age. Now Dhruv is a guru. That is who a guru is, a saint, one who has received personally the grace of God in the way of infinite knowledge and unlimited bliss, happiness. Yesterday I acquainted you with the recognized Guru of Gurus of this age, Jagat Guru, Sri Kripaluji Maharaj, whom we affectionately address as Sri Maharaj Ji. Sri Maharaj Ji has taken the very deep knowledge of the scriptures, Vedas and Vedic scriptures, and he has presented it in a very simple and straightforward way to the world. To followers of all religions, because his philosophy is universal. And the philosophy of Sanatan Vedic Dharma, otherwise known as Hinduism, it is for all the children of God. In the eyes of God, who is a Hindu and who is a Christian? Who is a Muslim and who is a Jew? We are all children of God. And the Vedic philosophy is for all children of God. It does not distinguish between the Hindu and the Muslim, between the Hindu and the Jew, between the Hindu and the Christian. It is applicable to all races and to followers of all religions. And Jagadguru Sri Kripaluji Maharaj has taken out the very difficult to understand concepts of the scriptures, and he has presented them before the world in a very easy to understand manner. And he explains that we must instruct our mind. Tell your mind, is there any object in the world that gives everybody in the world happiness? Can you think of any such object? The alcoholic says, alcohol. The alcohol makes me happy, says he. But ask the alcoholic's wife, does alcohol make you happy? Oh no, alcohol has ruined my life, says she. Ask the alcoholic's children, is alcohol a source of happiness to you? And they will say, oh no, we hate alcohol. Alcohol has taken our father away from us. Is there happiness in alcohol? Is there happiness in sweet? For every person who has a sweet tooth, there is another in the world who does not have a sweet tooth at all. For every person who loves chocolate in the world, there's another who cannot tolerate chocolate. For every person who loves onion and garlic in their food, there is another person who cannot tolerate the smell of onion and garlic. Is there any object in the world that makes everyone happy? Yes, well, there is something that makes everyone happy. That is water. But then you have to employ another logic. If there is happiness in something, then it must give happiness at all times, not sometimes. Water brings us happiness, no doubt, but it doesn't make us happy at all times. You have drunk 2, 3, 4 glasses of water because you were very thirsty. Now, after 4 glasses of water, are you going to say that you want more water? No. Water now is not bringing you any happiness because you've had your fill. So the logic you should present to the mind here is, if there was happiness in anything in the world, then that happiness would be experienced all the time, not just sometimes. And oh my mind, if there was happiness in the world, then everyone would be experiencing the happiness in the same limit. But one person is attaining 10% happiness from one object, another is experiencing 5% happiness from the same object, another is experiencing 95% happiness from the same object. I think you'll agree with me when I say that we are not accustomed to thinking like this. We don't have a habit of thinking such deep thoughts. But this is the purpose of a guru. The purpose of a guru is to introduce such thoughts to the mind. The guru says, think. Sri Maharaj Ji often says, you are very proud of your intelligence. Deep down in your heart, you think, I am very intelligent. So use your intelligence, he says. Think about this. Ask your mind, is there really happiness in the world? Vishnu Puran says, Tasmat dukkhatmakam nasti naiva kinchit sukhatmakam. The material world does not have happiness or unhappiness in it. Happiness and unhappiness are both products of the mind. When we think there is happiness in something or someone, we actually start receiving imaginary happiness from that object or that person. We actually start receiving imaginary happiness. But because it's imaginary, there comes a time when we no longer experience it. And then the man says to his wife, you know, or he thinks about it, he may not say it to her, because there'll be a big fight if he were to say this. He thinks, my wife used to give me great amounts of happiness. Every time she used to speak, I would become so happy. Every time I'd see her, I'd be the happiest person in the world. Now, I don't understand why it is that I don't feel happy when I see her or when I listen to her. I don't understand where that happiness went. He thinks about it. She also thinks the same thoughts. They're both thinking the same way, but they dare not say this to each other because this would create a big problem. You understand? They both think about it. Where did the happiness go? Where are you hiding that happiness? But the happiness was not there in the first place. The same young man used to say to the same young woman, I cannot live without you. I tell you, if you don't marry me, I'm going to kill myself. I'll take poison, or I'll slash my wrists, I will shoot myself, I'll do something, but I promise you I will not be able to live without you. So she gets fooled and she marries him, and after some time he says to her, you know what, I can't live with you. I just can't. In the beginning of their marriage he was saying, you have made me the happiest man in the world. Now he's singing a different tune. He's saying, you have made me the most miserable man in the entire world. And so many people are in this situation and they're thinking, where did happiness go? And then what do they decide? I better look somewhere else. That one will make me happy. No, that one will make me happy. No, this one also disappointed me. I think that one will make me happy. And we have not yet been able to convince our mind of the reality, and that is that there is no person in the world who has happiness to give. This is a big deception that the mind suffers from and convinces us of, that there is someone in the world just waiting to give me happiness. We are expecting happiness to come from the world, from someone or something. And God, who is living inside of us, must be so sad, thinking, here I am, living right inside of you, and you are completely Anand Sindhu Madhya Tav Vasa Binu Jane Katmarasi Piyasa. You are living in the ocean of happiness, and yet you're dying of thirst. Imagine a fish living in the water and yet dying of thirst. We are that fish. That is our situation. God is happiness and He is living inside of us, and we are desperate to receive that happiness, but we are searching for it in objects and people of this material world. Our desires are tormenting us. When we are in the desiring stage, we suffer greatly. When we are in the stage of wanting something or someone, we suffer greatly. When will I get this thing? When will he be mine? We suffer. When we attain something or someone that we want, then we temporarily feel happy, but then we start worrying about losing what we have gained. And then if we lose what we have gained, if we lose the one we had wanted and had gotten in our lives, then there is definitely sorrow in life. In all the three stages of desire, there is nothing but misery. A woman wants a child. She thinks that her life is incomplete without a child. So she desperately wants to have a baby. She goes through to many people. She asks for blessings from many, many people. She goes to the doctors. She goes through many treatments. She has sleepless nights. Every time she sees a mother and child, she feels very, very sad. She becomes depressed. And then one day she finds out that she is expecting. She feels very, very happy. And then the child is born to her. Now she's extremely happy. For some time. After some time, she worries about the safety of her child. She worries about the child's health. She worries and worries about her child. And if something should happen to her child, then there is no limit to her sorrow and grief. In all the three stages, there is nothing but unhappiness, and we should believe this not because the scriptures tell us this. It is because this is our daily experience. Please think about this when you're all alone. This is your daily experience. This is the daily experience of all of us without exception. The only problem is that we don't examine our daily experiences. But as I said, the enlightened master, the Sadguru, he gently nudges us. He instructs us to think in such a manner. He instructs us to ask our mind difficult questions. And in this way, we can convince our mind of the truth and the reality, which is that desire for the world is extremely dangerous. Desires stem from the illusion that there is happiness in the world. We become attached to the world. Therefore, we start desiring the world. And then there is no end to our suffering, because we'll either suffer from greed or anger, and many other diseases of the mind will torment us, such as envy, hypocrisy, and the like. However, we need the world. So should we reject all worldly desires? Should we not desire an education? Should we not desire shelter? Should we not desire food? Should we not desire clothing? Should we not desire a mode of transportation? Should we not desire a job or to run a business? What do the scriptures mean when they say, renounce all desires? The scriptures say to us, limit your desires. They do not say that we should do away with the necessary things in life. but that we must understand what is necessary and what is superfluous. Our desires should be limited. We have basic necessities in life. Everyone needs food, we need shelter, we need clothing, we need transportation. But scriptures warn us that we must not accept the world to be a source of happiness and, thinking so, accumulate more and more of the world. We are cautioned by our Lord and Master, by God Himself. Do not keep any more worldly wealth than is required for a basic living. Yavat bhriyeta jatharam tavat swatvam hi dehinam adhikam yo bhimanyeta sasteno dandamarhati. Bhagavad Puran, Canto 7, Chapter 14, verse number 8. God says, you are entitled to only as much wealth as is required for a basic living. Do not keep any more than that with you. Give it away in charity. Do not keep it with you. For if you keep more than your fair share, then you will be considered a thief, and a thief must be punished. Danda marhati. Manusmriti says, Nyayo parjita vittena dashamanshena dhimata. O humans, you must donate 10% of what you earn. Why are we being told to do this? Because it is the nature of our material mind to desire more and more of the world. And the more we have, the more we want. So, God and godly saints have recommended that we give 10% of what we earn as charity. Jagadguru Sri Kripaluji Maharaj explains that if you give 10% of what you earn to charity, you are not really donating anything. And what is that 10% donation? He explains that this is spiritual income tax. Just as the material lawmakers have imposed income tax on your income, in the same way, the Supreme Lord has imposed a spiritual tax on your income, and that is 10%. When you pay a tax, you are not considered as being a donor. You're not giving charity, you're just paying tax. If you don't pay your taxes, you'll be punished, but if you pay your taxes, the government is not going to send you a thank you letter. I don't think there's anyone here who can say that, yes, I received a letter from the government thanking me for paying the taxes. In the very same way, God does not say, well done, you paid to your tax, you gave 10%, good, I shall reward you. No reward is given. But if the 10% is not given, then punishment is given. Just as it is in the world. Does God need 10% of what we earn? Does God want to fill His coffers with money from His children? Oh no. God wants us to see that beyond this material world, hidden in every particle of this world, He is dwelling. And our eyesight is clouded by what we see. The worldly people, worldly objects. If we give up some of our worldliness, then we'll be able to see God who lives in every particle of creation. Then we will also be able to say, like the gopis were saying, Jit dekho tit sham mai hai, sham mai hai. Wherever I look, I see my dark complexioned Lord, my beloved Shyam Sundar, Krishna, then we will know what the Ramayana means when it says, Siya Ram Maya Sab Jag Jani. You'll be able to see Sita and Ram everywhere in the world. But if we are hoarding material objects and the material world in general, if we are keeping more than our share, we are becoming more and more materialistic, then how will we be able to taste that sweetness that we have been thirsty for since beginning this time? How will we receive the happiness that we want? How will we get to the real treasures if we become very possessive of the trinkets that we have? This is why, although nothing that we can give to God is of any use to God, because it's all material, yet God says, give me. Give me so that you may become a little detached from the world. We are not like Bharat, Bhagwan Sri Ram's younger brother, who, despite being given the kingdom of Ayodhya, was not attracted by it. He was completely free from all desires. If we live in luxury, we are very affected by it. If we say, there have been kings like Dashrath and Janak, Ambarish, Vibhishan, they were saints, but they were also kings. And I can live like them. They were very godly, I can be like them. No. The luxury they were living in did not affect them. Why? Because they had God on their minds. And Bharat, although he was given the kingdom of Ayodhya, he lived in a modest hut. He would sleep on the ground without covering the ground. He was not ruling Ayodhya directly. He had installed Bhagwan Sri Ram's padukas, wooden slippers, on the throne. Bharatahi hohi na rajmad vidhi harihar pad paye. Bharat was not attracted by the kingdom of Ayodhya. He wasn't even attracted by the seats of Brahma, Vishnu and Shankar. But devoted listeners, we are not like Bharat. We are affected and we become very worldly. And so when the scriptures say, limit your desires, they are telling us this so that we may get to the real treasure. There was a great devotee of Lord Krishna by the name Uddhav. Uddhav says to Shri Krishna, Tvayopabhukt sragandha vaso lankara charchitaha. O Shri Krishna, I will wear the clothes that you have discarded. I will wear the ornaments that you have worn and put away. I shall use the fragrances that you have used. And by using these prasadis, I shall challenge your Maya. I shall say to Maya, oh Maya, you cannot torment me. You cannot gain hold of my mind. What is Uddhav saying? What he's saying is that he regards the clothes he wears as clothes that have been worn by God. He regards the ornaments he wears as the ornaments that God has given to him. Even in material objects, he is able to see God. But we are not like Uddhav. So we mustn't think, oh, Uddhav had a lot of ornaments, let me go and buy a lot of ornaments also. I'm wearing fancy clothes because, Raja Janak did, Dashrath did, Vibhishan did. They wore fancy clothes, I shall also. They were not affected. We will be tremendously affected. We must protect our mind from a lot of worldly desires. Again, as I said earlier, by instructing the mind, Instruct the mind. Don't go with the flow of the mind. The mind says something and we say, yes sir. No, regard the mind as your enemy, says Bhagwan Rishabh. Jagadguru Shri Kripaluji Maharaj also says in different words the same thing. मन को मानो शत्रु इसकी, सुनहु जनी कछु प्यारे। मन को मानो शत्रु इसकी, सुनहु जनी कछु प्यारे, सुनहु जनी कछु प्यारे। Do not listen to the mind, dear devotee. Accept it to be your enemy. Instruct your mind. Do not take instructions from the mind. When the mind acts up, become very strict with the mind. Connect your mind to the divine mind of a true guru. Do what the guru tells you to do. Don't do what your mischievous mind tells you to do. Your mischievous mind has spoiled countless lifetimes. Our mischievous mind has spoiled us and has been spoiling us for countless lives. We must not listen to it. We must heed the instructions of scriptures and saints. And we must instruct the mind. We must convince the mind. We must scold the mind. We must threaten the mind if there is a need. But we must work with our mind, because desires live in the mind. And our desires have been tormenting us. We should not put up with them. We should not tolerate them. Desires will remain. So we should divert them towards God. Rather than thinking, I want to see every country in the world, we should think, I should like to see Golok, where Krishna lives. I should like to go to Saket Lok, Bhagwan Ram's abode. I want to go to the real Ayodhya, where Bhagwan Ram descended to earth. And he brought his divine Saket Lok to the material Ayodhya that exists even today in India. I want to see Ayodhya. I want to see Golok. Rather than thinking, I want to attain the worldly touch, we must convince our mind, no, you want the divine touch. Because you're not satisfied with the worldly touch. You know that, right? You know that. Instruct the mind. You want to touch Lord Krishna. You want his divine embrace, because you're not satisfied with any other embrace. I want to taste the sweetness of this drink. No. Taste the sweetness of Krishna instead. Desire the sweetness of Shri Krishna. I'm attracted to this person because of his knowledge. Well, Lord Krishna has infinite knowledge. Why are you not attracted to him? I'm attracted to this person because of his virtues. Lord Krishna has unlimited virtues. Why don't you get attracted by him? I like the beauty of this person. I'm so attracted because of her beauty. Well, Lord Krishna has infinite beauty. God has infinite beauty, and he is so beautiful that beauty personified becomes ashamed looking at him. Beauty personified is embarrassed looking at Lord Krishna's beauty. Kamdev is the god of beauty in Swargalok. But when he sees Shri Krishna's beauty, he faints. He loses consciousness. In one of his divine compositions, contained in Prem Ras Madira, Jagadguru Shri Kripaluji Maharaj writes, and I'm not quoting the words, I'm just giving you the meaning, that once Lord Krishna was sleeping, his eyes were half open, he's not fully awake and he's not fully asleep, and his mother Yashoda is trying to wake him up. And three creatures, Kanjan and Chakor, two birds, that are supposed to have very beautiful eyes, and Meen, meaning the fish. These three creatures have very beautiful eyes, and these three creatures came to Lord Krishna to see his beautiful eyes, eyes which were half open, half closed. But they could not stand in competition because they immediately lost consciousness when they saw the most beautiful eyes of Sri Krishna. Who is more beautiful than Lord Krishna? Why run after this one and that one? Why run after beauty in the world when you can run after Lord Krishna's infinite beauty? Now we must instruct the mind to go towards God and to desire God instead of the world. But we must give reasons to the mind. The mind will not be convinced just like that. We can't just say, hey mind, listen to what I say. Do as I say. The mind will ask, why should I listen to you? Then we have to tell the mind, this is why you should listen to me. You want happiness, right? The mind says yes. And you've been looking for happiness in the world, right? Yes. Have you found it? No. Do you think you'll find it? Yes. Really? Yes. Where are you going to find it? I'm going to find it when I go to Canada. Really? Ask the people who have migrated to Canada. Are they really happy? No, they're not. They're saying, we wish we had never left Trinidad. So do you think there's happiness in some other place? Well, all right, but you know what? I think I'll find happiness in America. No, it's the same. Well, when I'm going to find happiness through a big house. Really? Ask the people who live in a big house. Are they happy? I have lived in a big house. So we have to convince our mind by giving it logics. We can't just say, listen to me and don't ask questions. The mind will ask questions, give the mind answers. Tell the mind, think about your own experience. And this is what the Ramayana says, this is what the Gita says, this is what the Bhagavad says, this is what the Vedas say. And for this, as I told you, you have to listen to the instructions of a true saint, a guru, who is worthy of being called a guru. One who has knowledge of God. He will tell you. Because our mind, as I said earlier, is not capable of thinking very deeply. Our mind is capable of thinking only about the next meal. Where's the next meal coming from? What am I going to have for dinner? What am I going to wear tomorrow? Is that outfit clean? I should wash it. I should get it dry cleaned. I have to wear that tomorrow. What am I going to do on my vacation? Our mind is basically capable of thinking only such thoughts. When I say that, I mean that our mind, although our mind is capable of thinking much more, but we are not accustomed to thinking such deep thoughts. We just swim in shallow waters. We never go to the deep end. It is the Guru who makes us think deeply. Think, he says. Think what you're doing in life. Examine your desires. What are you desiring? What are your desires doing to you? Is there happiness in the world? Where are you going to find happiness in the world? These questions must be asked. Why? Because we want to be happy. We want to be well. We want wellness throughout life. And wellness cannot come about if our mind is not well. If our mind is not trained, we cannot be well. We may say, all is well. All is right with me. I'm all right. All is right with me. Yet, all is not right with us, and it will not be right with us unless we check our desires, reduce them, and divert them towards God. Yes, we need many things of the world, but when you look in your closet, take a very neutral look at it. Do you really need all those clothes? Do you really need the variety of clothes? Do you really need all those pairs of shoes? Do you really need all that jewelry and all those objects of the world that you have accumulated. Check your desires. Accept the world in only as much quantity as is necessary for a basic living, because that is the instruction of our Lord and Master, Shri Krishna. He tells us this in the Bhagavad, and I already quoted from the Bhagavad Puran, Yavat Bhriyete Jatharam. Don't keep any more than you are entitled to. God says, you are all my children. Some have more, some have less. It is the duty of those who have more to share with the ones who have less. Share the world. Share the worldly wealth. Do not be greedy, because it will not serve you well in the long run. God has given us the instructions, whether you call them the Vidhi and Nished in the Vedas or the commandments, whatever you call them, God has given to us, His children, His instructions. It is up to us to abide by them. And when we do abide by them, and when we check our worldly desires, and when we take our worldly desires and mold them into spiritual desires, then we start becoming well. Then we start experiencing that happiness that has eluded us for not just a few years, but for countless centuries, for countless lifetimes. When we become well, then we will be well for all lifetimes to come. We will then go back. We will go home to God. And then there we will live in unlimited happiness and equipped with unlimited knowledge. Boliye Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki, Srimad Sadguru Sarkar ki, Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe.